So I've had the Sony ULT Wear for a couple of months now. I know, I'm late. You guys have been telling me in my comment section, but I have been thoroughly enjoying them this whole time. They are delivering true flagship performance to the sub $200 headphone market. And I'm here to give you my full review as well as letting you know if these are the king under $200. As always, I'll leave links to all the products mentioned in this video down in the video description. So let's jump into it. All right, so as you can see here are the Sony ULT Wear Power Sound. So this is just the box. I'm going to just kind of give you a lightweight kind of unboxing experience, you know, just kind of throw back El Jefe, but we'll pop these open real quick. Now I'm tearing it. Look at this, man. I'm messing this all up. Oh, good Lord. Look at this. Oh no. You would think that these hadn't been opened before by the way I'm tearing this box. All right, here we go. There we go. Get this out of the way here. Pop that open. All right. Get that out of here. All right, so that's out of the way. So now we have the inside box, I guess you could say. Let's go ahead and pop that open. And in here, we have the actual headphones inside of their headphone case. So let's get that out of the way. And you get some, you know, the usual manuals, books, things of that nature. We'll get that out of the way as well. All right, so now we got that out of the way. Now here we have the actual case. Love to see Sony including a case on their sub $200 headphones. This is something we've asked for a long time. So we always want to give Sony their flowers when they actually do something right. So much appreciated. So here we go. Let me go ahead and pop that open real quick for you. So this is basically what comes inside. So you've got the headphones themselves. Now I've got them here in the gray color. You also get right here, this is going to be your USB-C charging cable, USB-C to USB-A, and you get the headphone jack. So you get the auxiliary cable here, but that's pretty much it. So then you have the headphones themselves and yeah, what you get right there, just like that, fully foldable, rotatable. Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much it right there. As far as an unboxing goes, that's pretty much it. So let's jump into that Bluetooth connection. So the Sony ULT Wear are featuring Bluetooth 5.2 with SBC, AAC, and LDAC as their connection codecs. Now you got easy pairing with both Android and iOS devices in my personal experience. And there's also a 3.5mm headphone port on the left ear cup for listening via the included auxiliary cable in the case if you happen to run the battery down or if you just prefer using a 3.5mm connection. You got both options. When it comes to Bluetooth range, I managed to get about 37 feet or just around 11.2 meters in my own testing. I was able to put 3 walls in between the headphones and the phone before I started hearing any sort of dropouts or connection problems. However, if you do switch to LDAC, your range and coverage will be reduced noticeably, so please keep that in mind. Now, the Sony ULT Wear also offer multi-point connectivity for up to 2 devices. I tested this by pairing them to a bunch of different devices, including my iPhone 15 Pro Max, Pixel 8 Pro, and my iPad Pro. Multi-point worked exactly as expected, but you do lose LDAC if you activate multi-point. It's one or the other, but sadly not both. Now, moving over to watching video, latency is minimal on Android and iOS devices in my testing. Mobile gaming is decent with these headphones, despite the fact that they're not really designed for gaming, but it still worked fairly well. There is no, gaming mode or low latency mode here, so just something to make you aware of. I did play a few rounds of Call of Duty Mobile, and the latency was there, but not enough to be a distraction for a casual player like me. But if you are a competitive mobile gamer and latency bothers you, as I've said before, you're probably going to want to go ahead and just run these via the 3.5mm auxiliary cable so that you can have a lag-free experience. So now let's jump over to the build quality and the comfort. So right now the Sony ULT Wear are available in 3 different colors. You can get them in black, you can get them in forest gray like I've got here, and you can also get them in off-white. Now build quality on the ULT Wear is pretty much what we can expect from most headphones at this price range. You've got a lightweight plastic aluminum construction with folding and rotating ear cups. So this is something that we definitely like to see, because one of the biggest complaints that I saw about the Sony XM5 was the fact that they were no longer foldable. Wasn't a big deal for me. I said that as much in my previous video on the Sony XM5, but for a lot of people it actually was. So I love to see that they've brought that back. Now, when it comes to comfort, the Sony ULT Wear haven't caused me any head or neck fatigue. However, there is some moderate clamping force here, so some break-in might be needed if you have a massive head like mine. If you're unfamiliar with loosening up some headphones, all you gotta do is ask me about it in the comment section and I'll let you know exactly how I do it. But overall, comfort has been pretty good in my experience. Grip is good on these headphones as well, so they tend to stay put nicely on my walks and my workouts. While the padding in both the headband and ear cups is good, the material just isn't very breathable. Much like many other headphones that I've tested out and tried in the past, your ears will get hot if you try to use these for sports or workouts based on my own testing. Now, let's talk about the controls. The ULT Wear use a combination of button and touch controls here. Now, on the right side, you've got touch. Now, the face of the right ear cup serves as the touch pad, and it supports a double tap for play, pause, answer, and end phone calls, a triple tap, which is an optional, and swiping left and right for track forward or back, swiping up and down for volume control, which I love, and long press for voice assistant or to reject phone calls. And you can then cover the right ear cup for a quick attention mode that activates transparency mode in case somebody comes up and starts talking to you. Why they would do that while you have headphones on is beyond me, but you do have that option here. Now on the left ear cup, this is where we have the buttons. So first up, we have the NC/AMB button. Now a single tap cycles through active noise cancellation, ambient, and normal modes. Now double and triple press can be customized in the app to support quick access functions like activating Spotify. Below this, you have the power button, and basically that powers the headphones on and off. You can long press for pairing, and you can quick press for a battery level check. You also have wear detection with the Sony ULT Wear, and that also functions for automatic play pause when headphones are removed or placed on your head. Now, lastly, we have the ULT button, or the ULT button, and this cycles through 3 base settings: off, ULT 1, and ULT 2. Both ULT 1 and ULT 2 bass settings can be adjusted via the clear bass slider in the EQ settings inside the Sony Headphones Connect app. Now, speaking of the Sony Headphones Connect app, you do have this available for both Android and iOS devices. Now, I won't be doing a full app walkthrough here because everyone always skips this part of the video, so I'll give you a quick TLDR. You get battery levels, you get music controls, you get multi-point controls, you get controls over the active noise cancellation, ambient mode, equalizer, 360 reality audio, a DSEE toggle, you get firmware updates, control customizations, etc. So a ton of different things are in there. All that to say that you should download this app if you want to take full advantage of all the features that are built into the Sony ULT Wear, especially if you really want to dial in the sound to your personal taste, and at the very least, to make sure that you have the latest firmware updates, because as soon as I got these, I got a firmware update. So just throwing that out there. So if you do get these headphones, make sure you get that Sony Headphones Connect app. So now let's jump into the battery life. So Sony is claiming up to 30 hours with noise cancellation turned on and 50 hours with noise cancellation turned off. Now, normally I would say that these are bold claims, but so far in my testing, these headphones have actually met those marks surprisingly well. So overall, I'm actually impressed here. So now in my own actual testing, I'm going to go ahead and put the numbers right up here on the screen so you can see them. So with noise cancellation turned on in AAC mode, I got 28 hours and 54 minutes. With noise cancellation off in AAC, I actually got 51 hours and 6 minutes. Now with LDAC, this is where battery actually takes a hit. 25 hours and 3 minutes with noise cancellation on, and 39 hours, 21 minutes with noise cancellation turned off. So as you can see, the difference between LDAC and AAC codecs is substantial, so something to keep in mind. Now, the Sony ULT Wear also charge via USB-C and feature a fast charge option. If you drain them down all the way, you can plug them in for 3 minutes and you get an hour and a half worth of playback time. The ULT Wear also have an auto shutoff feature that activates after a period of time to save power when the headphones are removed from your head, and that can be toggled on and off in the app. So now let's move over to the noise cancellation. So the Sony ULT Wear have excellent active noise cancellation performance in my testing. I am truly impressed. While not as powerful as their big brother, the Sony XM5, it is still very effective and actually comes surprisingly close to the XM5's performance here. Easily the best noise cancellation option under 200 in my experience. And this includes mid-range options from Sennheiser, Soundcore, JBL, and one more. Beat all of them in both airplane cabin noise and my crowd noise tests. So truly impressive for something at this price point. Now let's talk transparency or ambient mode. So transparency mode is also surprisingly good here. The ambient mode slider gives you full control so you can dial in how much or how little external sound you actually want to hear. And you also have a voice pass-through option that helps tamp down background noise so you can focus on human voices. Overall, it sounds less processed and more natural than most other options at this price. Wind noise is also improved and actually does a noticeably better job than the Sony XM5s in my testing. That one really caught me by surprise. So that's something that I'm hoping when Sony ever does decide to bring out the XM6 headphones, that they'll, bring in some of this wind noise cancellation that they've got on the Sony ULT Wear. So now let's jump over to sound quality. So the Sony ULT Wear feature 40mm dynamic drivers. Now these were designed to be the latest version of the extra bass line. If you guys remember the Sony extra bass headphones, that's what the Sony ULT Wear has become. It's basically like a name change that's the best way that I can put it to you guys. So not to be confused with the 1000 series headphones like the XM4 and XM5. This is a separate line of headphones. Now, these also feature LDAC codec for high-res audio when used with compatible Android devices, but these are 100% bass head certified headphones, like designed for this. Just want to make that very, very clear. So huge shout out to the bass head crew. You get a heavy bass kick when alt mode is active, and you get two modes, alt 1 and alt 2. The bass strength of each of those can be adjusted in the app with the clear bass slider, as I had mentioned before. But you can also remove that additional bass by leaving alt mode deactivated if you want a more balanced sound signature, or balanced sound experience, if you will. So if you don't like bass, you're probably going to want to skip these. I want to make that very, very clear. So let's go ahead and break down the sound. So first, let's start off with the bass. Now, the Sony ULT Wear have a strong and punchy bass response as expected from Sony headphones, and they have excellent sub-bass rumble. This is real bass with real vibration that you can feel with alt mode active. Surprisingly, it's actually surprisingly versatile, and it actually responds to EQ very well, so you can increase or dial back that bass to really suit your own personal taste. But I'm saying this really reminds me of the vibration that I used to get from the old school Sony XB950s. Like we're getting to that level. So, and this, like I said, real bass. This isn't haptic motors. This isn't doing any of that weirdness. This is actual drivers moving. So it's pretty dope. You have to try it out. But they can dig super, super deep, especially on tracks like Pop Out by Larry June and Cardo, or Often by The Weeknd. So those are two tracks you definitely want to try out with the Sony ULT Wear. Now, when it comes to mid-range, the mid-range here is actually much more laid back out of the box, so I definitely bumped that up a bit to open things up just for myself. Now, there is noticeable mid-bass presence here, but it isn't horrible if you like bass in your music. I know that's not going to be everybody's taste. Now, a lot of people don't like mid-bass bleed. A lot of people don't like that, heavy bass presence in their mid-range. I get it. But this isn't really an audiophile headphone, and I'm really trying to make that very, very clear. So despite that, you still get good vocal performance for both male and female voices after adjusting the mids. But the way the ULT Wear are tuned make them better for hip hop and EDM, and less so for like classical music or like ballads. But listening to Liquor Store Blues by Bruno Mars featuring Damian Marley is a must if you really want to hear what I'm hearing out of these headphones when it comes to the mid-range. So now moving over to the treble. So for me, treble is actually surprisingly good with the Sony ULT Wear. It's chill, it's not harsh or sibilant in the slightest. I actually bumped it up a little bit to give it a bit more sparkle and airiness. Overall, it's very pleasant when combined with that strong bass punch, at least based on my own musical listening preferences. But if that V-shaped sound is not your cup of tea, then turn alt mode off and the sound is much more laid back. One of the songs that I used to test out the treble with these headphones was A Tu Lado by Edgar Alejandro, and this can really help you hear exactly what I mean. Now, I'm going to go ahead and include links to all of the songs that I mentioned in the description box down below, so you guys can try those out or add them to your playlist if you wish. Now, when it comes to listening to these headphones via the 3.5mm aux, when testing them this way, you still retain the ability to use active noise cancellation and transparency functions, but there is no DSP or custom EQ available, so the sound is 100% driver tuning. Overall, it is acceptable, but it's lackluster compared to the way they sound when they're actually on. Like, it's not even close. So the mids and treble are recessed. The music really isn't enjoyable this way. It's probably good enough, like, in my experience, for like audiobooks or like to watch videos or like scroll on TikTok or whatever you want to do. And probably, semi-decent, I guess, for video games or like mobile gaming. But listening to them in aux mode just didn't do it for me. And in a case of emergency, they can get the job done this way, but it's really not the way that I would be listening to these at all. That being said, I still like that this option is here, so you can use these, after the battery is dead, or with products or in situations that you can't use a Bluetooth connection. Now, if I had to give Sony any constructive criticism, I really don't have much feedback to give them here with the Sony ULT Wear. I mean, I guess if anything, these are just not for everyone. If you identify as an audiophile, maybe you're somebody who likes to read frequency response graphs and then argue with people on the internet, or Or maybe you're someone who just prefers a more balanced or neutral sound signature, and there's nothing wrong with that. But these are probably not going to be a good fit for you. And I just want to be very, very clear about that. Now, you can get these and try to EQ them back into a more balanced type of sound, but it sort of defeats the purpose. Why would you get chocolate if you want it to taste like vanilla? Just get vanilla, right? Why would I get a bass head certified headphone and then say, I want this to sound, like it's tuned to the Harman target? It just doesn't make any sense to me, right? I would just suggest getting something different. If you want something different, let me know in the comment section and I can give you some recommendations for something with much more balanced sound if that's what you prefer. But if you are somebody who doesn't want that thick with 3 C's bass, I would probably look at Sony's other options like the 1000 series, the XM5, or even the CH720 if you are on a tighter budget. So now let's go ahead and answer 2 questions that I know are going to come up immediately. 1, are the Sony ULT Wear better than the Sony XM5? Quick answer, no. The Sony ULT Wear are made to be a lower cost option from Sony. They're supposed to be like the little brother to the XM5. However, the sound, noise cancellation, and ambient modes of the Sony ULT Wear can rival the XM5 in certain situations. Now, the biggest difference is the bass-heavy sound on the ULT Wear compared to the more balanced sound on the XM5. So make sure you know what your sound preference is before buying. And then the second question, are the Sony ULT Wear the new $200 king? In my opinion, abso-freaking-lutely. And that's based not only on the outstanding feature set and performance, but also on how they compare to other mid-range options from Soundcore, Edifier, JBL, and Beats. For me, these are the headphones to beat at the $200 price mark. So I'm going to say that once again and try to make myself very clear. If you have $200 to spend on a set of headphones, get the Sony ULT Wear. That's the best way and the most clearest way that I can say it, because nothing under $200 is touching these headphones, especially if you're into heavy bass. So now let's go ahead and jump over into some microphone quality samples of the Sony ULT Wear, both with crowd noise and in a quiet environment so you can hear the difference. And I'll throw in a bunch of other headphones so we can see how they stack up against some other options at different price points. All right, so here we have the microphone quality test for the Sony ULT Wear. So testing, 1, 2, 3. As you can see, I'm indoors in a semi-quiet room. So testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, and here we have the microphone test for the Beats Solo 4. So testing, 1, 2, 3. As you can see, once again, I'm indoors in a semi-quiet room. So testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, and here we have the microphone test for the Soundcore Space Q45. So testing, 1, 2, 3. As you can see, once again, I'm indoors in a semi-quiet room. So testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, and here we have the microphone test for the Apple AirPods Max. So testing, 1, 2, 3. As you can see, once again, I'm indoors in a semi-quiet room. So testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, and here we have the microphone test for the Sony WH-1000XM5. So testing, 1, 2, 3. As you can see, once again, I'm indoors in a semi-quiet room. So testing, 1, 2, 3. And here we have the Sony ULT Wear in a simulated crowd noise environment. So something like a busy bar, a crowded restaurant, or something along those lines. So testing, 1, 2, 3. And here we have the Beats Solo 4 in a simulated crowd noise environment. So something like a busy bar, a crowded restaurant, or something along those lines. So testing, 1, 2, 3. And here we have the Soundcore Space Q45 in a simulated crowd noise environment. So something like a busy bar, a crowded restaurant, or something along those lines. So testing, 1, 2, 3. And here we have the Apple AirPods Max in a simulated crowd noise environment. So something like a busy bar, a crowded restaurant, or something along those lines. So testing, 1, 2, 3. And here we have the Sony WH-1000XM5 in a simulated crowd noise environment. So something like a busy bar, a crowded restaurant, or something along those lines. So testing, 1, 2, 3. With all that out of the way, for full disclosure, the Sony ULT Wear headphones were sent to me by Sony for testing and review purposes. However, they received no rights for copy or script approval and were not allowed to see this video prior to it being published. They are watching this video at the same time that you are. I'm telling you all of this because I believe in transparency and honesty with you as the viewer. Please be sure to watch multiple reviews before making that final purchase decision. And being how late I am with this video, I'm sure you guys have probably seen a bunch of videos on these already, but still, I want to make sure that I throw that disclosure out there. If this video was sponsored, my video would have came out at the same time that these headphones launched. So That should tell you something there. But if headphones aren't for you and you want to see what the best earbuds are for under $200, then check out this video that I'm going to leave for you right up here on the screen. With that said, my name is Jefe, and I'm out.